Shalom and welcome to another episode of Apostles of GMS. We're here on location in New York City at the Metropolitan Museum. The word Metropolitan literally means mother city. And we just came from inside of the building and saw some artifacts. We visited the Assyrian section. We visited the Renaissance section, and I believe the Byzantine section. And pretty much you will see we'll do a slideshow and we'll do a voiceover over certain pictures that we took, and pretty much give an explanation behind the picture. The reason why we do such tours like this is to bring out the information, and the museum contains a lot of information that pretty much parallels the scriptures, parallels the Bible. For instance, the Assyrian Empire, there's a lot of history in the Bible concerning the Assyrian Empire. You had prophets like Isaiah, all right? You had prophets like Ezekiel. When I say the Assyrian Empire, really the Assyrian Babylonian Empire, which dovetailed into the Babylonian Empire. All right, so it's all part of history, it's all part of prophecy, and this is the reason why we do these tours, okay? You have a scripture you can bring up.
This is Job 9 and 24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covered the faces of the judges thereof.
Yeah, the wicked, according to the Bible, is the so-called white man in the Bible who is known as Esau, Edom. All right, that's their true biblical nationality. Esau, Edom, which you know today as so-called white people. They call themselves white because when you look that word up, white, it means not intending to harm, it means pure and innocent. But if you know the history of this so-called white man, you'll know it's anything but. As a matter of fact, right here in America, America's what? Stolen land, stolen property. By who? By the so-called white man who came over here and pretty much stole the land, roughly speaking, stole the land from the so-called North American Indian who was already here, who's known as the tribe of Gad in the Bible. Okay?
That's right. So Job 9.
So he's the wicked. All right. And then when you get deeper into the scriptures, you find out that there's really three classes of people. There's the sons of the power, which are the Israelites, which is us, as you see the sign of the 12 tribes. Then you have the sons of man, which are all the other nations, so-called Chinese, so-called Japanese, etc. Then you have the sons of the wicked, which the sons of the wicked is the so-called white man. How do you know? You know by his actions. You know by his history. Just like Yahushua said, you'll know a tree by its fruits. And what are the fruits of the so-called white man? Rape, robbery, murder, lies. Like we just came from this museum, there's a lot of lies in there. They got a statue of what's supposed to be Adam, and I believe that's in the Renaissance section. And they got Adam looking like a straight up so-called white boy with a little penis.
Yeah, butt naked,
right.
White boy, no beard, curly hair, with a little tiny ass leaf on his so-called penis, which suggested that his penis was small. What this devil did was really make mockery of our forefathers, because Adam is one of our forefathers, right? And that was in the Renaissance section. And by the way, the reason why, when you look up the word Renaissance, I don't know if you spoke on it.
No, I didn't.
When you look up the word Renaissance, it's a compound word. Read meaning back, and Nisans meaning born. Loosely translated meaning being born again, which means that Esau at one time was in power, and Esau lost his power, and he came back in power. So he was born again, because they speak about the Messiah, whom the world calls Jesus Christ, as the firstborn from the dead, meaning he was born again, meaning he was put to death and he was raised back up. So they referred to him being born again. He spoke to Nicodemus, exactly. And he told Nicodemus in John the 3rd chapter, he must be born again. And Nicodemus didn't understand what he was saying. He spoke over his head. And the Messiah kind of cursed him out, saying, look, you're supposed to be a doctor of the law, a master of the law, and so forth. And this is something simple. Because he said, do you mean I have to go back in my mother's womb? Come out of my mother once again? He said, no, you got to be born again basically through the Spirit. Yeah. Now, Yahweh Shai was literally born again because he was put to death and he was raised back up. As another example is Lazarus. Lazarus was dead, then he was born again. He was made anew. All right? So, when this white man was brought down, give me Revelation 20. When this man was brought down, the time that he was brought down was during when the Roman Empire was going down. The Roman Empire was transferred from the so-called white man who are the Edomites to Israel.
Yeah, pagan to the holy.
But from the pagan to the holy.
Right.
And the holy wasn't so holy.
Right.
No,
because when Constantine the Great came into power, he brought that pagan bullshit with him. But he added characters from the scriptures, or our forefathers from the scriptures, and he kind of blended that with those pagan beliefs. That's why the churches today they call the Sabbath Sunday. They worship. They go to worship on Sundays, which goes back to the sun god, which is pagan. So there was a. Go ahead.
No, what I was going to say, which is what Constantine worshipped.
Yeah.
To back you up, he worshipped the sun.
That's why they worship on Sunday.
Exactly. So now, during the time of Constantine, and the reason why I thought about coming down here doing another show on this museum, because we did one way back in 2009. If you can find it, if you go to YouTube, and I believe if you put in GMS at the Met, if you go to, I think you'll see part 2.
Yeah.
And I think the whole thing is on Daily Motion, because we had it on Daily Motion and it was put up on YouTube, and that site was taken down or whatever. But anyway, we did a thing on that, and so we hadn't been here in a while. But like I said, what made me want to come down here and do another show on this subject is, I forget the guy's name, but he was on Sarnetta, and this was maybe about a month ago, 3 weeks ago. He's a Moor, I forget his name, and he spoke about Constantine, and he said Constantine should get a foot up in his ass. And what I picked up from that was, you'll see the video. It'll come up on the screen. He was talking about the Moors because he's a Moor, and he was saying our enemy was one of our enemies, or one of the Moors' enemies was Constantine, and he spoke about Constantine as if he was a so-called white man, an Edomite, so you can understand. So basically, we're going to show you that the people of the so-called Byzantine Empire, Constantine, the line, his lineage, and so forth, those people of the so-called Christian empire, if you will, the Byzantine Empire, were all so-called black people. And when you go up in this museum here, the Met, the first section that we went to was the so-called Byzantine, I guess it's called the Byzantine section. And the first image that you're going to see, or you're looking at right now, is a woman, and it says something about she goes back to the Byzantine Empire.
Oh yeah, she's a member of the elite.
She was a member of the elite of the Byzantine Empire.
Yeah.
And if you notice, there was 2 shots, a front shot and a side shot, and you can see that her nose was chiseled off.
Right.
There's a reason why her nose was chiseled off, because she had the features of a black woman. Her nose had that black feature, if you will. So what Esau knows the truth, because how can you tell a lie unless you know the truth?
That's right.
So when they put these exhibits up, these different bust statues and frescoes and mosaics and icons, the ones that obviously had black features, they would cut off the nose. Like there's a statue of James the Greater, and you can see they damn near cut his whole face off, man.
Right.
Then right next to it, they did a recreation of what James looked like, and they made him. They gave him a pointy ass nose, made him look crackified,
Right.
so you can understand.
Notice that nose wasn't chiseled off.
That nose wasn't chiseled off.
I wonder
right?
why.
So the majority of people that come up in here, normally Edomites and tourists from other countries, of course. And then you got the black woman. You want to find out what a black woman is doing? She's down here, but she's with her white buddy.
Oh yeah.
They sneak down here, okay?
Oh yeah.
That's what they do. Go ahead.
This is Job 13:4. But ye are forgers of lies.
Yeah, like a good example of that is when you come to this Metropolitan Museum, you will see an example of this man being a forger of lies. Like I mentioned about that so-called statue of Adam, which they got Adam looking like a straight-up so-called white boy.
They got him
Right.
looking like a straight-up faggot.
And a straight-up homosexual with like I said, with a small penis. All right, that's an example of a forger of lies, or forger of a lie. Because right in the Bible it speaks about Adam, and it tells you that Adam was made from the dust of the ground. Now, what color is the dust of the ground? Deep, dark, rich soil. Well,
Matter of fact, go to the scripture. Go to
Matter of fact,
the scriptures in Genesis 2.
right, we're going to go to the scripture. The color is deep, dark brown. Okay, that's anybody that grows, anybody that's into horticulture, okay, that grows plants, that grows flowers, whatever, grows out of the soil. What kind of soil are they looking for? They're looking for the deep, dark, rich soil. What color would it be? It would happen to be very dark brown. So that's where we came out of. We, as a so-called human species, we came out of deep, dark soil, the deep, dark brown. Okay, and that is the color of brown, which is very dark. So that was Adam. Was not Adam the first created out of the ground? So what color would he be by extrapolation, by using common sense? He would be very dark brown. But that's not what you see at this museum. You see a straight up white boy, so-called white boy, okay, which is a forge of lie.
And mind you,
lie.
that was in the Renaissance section. The Byzantine section,
Yeah, the rebirth.
they actually showed you these statues and these mosaics and these busts of actually black people whose faces were altered. In other words, they chiseled off the nose. And we like another reason why we do this, we do this particular show too, is so when you get a chance, you come down here. And by the way, when you go to pay, you don't got to pay the full price. You can give them a nickel, and they'll let you in. You know, with a suggested retail.
Yeah.
What is it, $50 or something like that, $35? We'll come in. It'll be as three of us. We gave the woman $3. She gave us the tickets. We went right in, right?
That's right.
Now, when you go in there, you go straight on through. On your right-hand side is the Egyptian section. So if you one of them Kemetic Negroes, you can go right over there, and you can stay over there, right? Or you can go straight where the stairs, the great stairs are, where you have the wall of benefactors. On your right-hand side, and on your left-hand side of those great that staircase, you have the Byzantine section, and just look at them images, man. And see, you have Edomites go up in there looking at the images, not realizing that those were black people, because it's obvious that they took why they took the nose off. The same thing go for you, Jake, you Israelites out there. When you go up in there, you don't notice it because you don't know how to decipher it. The Most High, Yahweh Shemel Shai, used us, the apostles of GMS, use us to decipher these things. So that now when you go down there and pay your dollar or your nickel, you know what's what. And you know the difference between dollar store glasses. You know the difference between the Renaissance art, the Byzantine art. You would know and understand that the people of the so-called Byzantine Empire are dark-skinned or black people, so you can understand. They were the same people as the Moors. There was a movie that came out. What year did that come out, El Cid? Had to be in the late 50s, early 60s. It was called, starring Charlton Heston, which, by the way, he played a so-called black man, an Israelite from Spain. The character's name was Rodrigo de Vavar. And he befriended a Moor, which they had a guy that looked like an Arab. It was really a black guy. Sidney Poitier should have played he could have played either role, and Harry Belafonte could have played the Arab or the Moor. And they tell you how Christians and Moors came together. All right, and most of the Christians at that time didn't like that because of the fact that he befriended a Moor, because they were fighting against each other. They were nothing but Israelites that left out of Israel, that went up into Asia Minor. That's why Paul had journeys up to Asia Minor, because you had Israelites all up in